What's going on, my creative collective? Welcome to your timeless set of readings. This is for you, my Virgo collective. So, I went for a kayak last week and I was watching the light. So, you'll see this clip in the affirmation video from last weekend, so July 17th. And one of the things that you'll see is the way that the light was playing off of and just dancing on the limestone. And it was really, the light reflected this sort of ordinary stone, so ordinary, right? It turned it into this extraordinary work of art. And I kept asking myself, where does where does the energy of that wonder, the energy of the light that's reflected go? Where does it go? Right? If it lands in our heart center and then it becomes something different and it transforms there into wonder, where does all of this energy go, and how do we direct it and mobilize it into something bigger than us? And then as I was meditating on the energy for you, that's what came up. But then also the big theme of allowing the questions. So just allowing the questions, whatever questions come, 111 on the time. So allowing questions and to release the need for certainty about something, releasing the need to have all the details just so, like not perfectionism, but needing to, there's like having a hand in all the details, maybe perfectionism a little bit, but that becomes its own thing where this has a bunch of different nuances to it. So I'm going to pull from the Elemental Oracle here, and we'll get we'll see where this takes us. Spirit, what messages do you have for Virgo, please? Fluidity and outer core. Do you know? Okay, after. Oh, groundedness and gravity. Interesting. Do you want this one? Okay, so I'm hearing it relates, but not to... Okay, so let me just do this. So you have fluidity and outer core. Yeah, there's something about needing to stay fluid, like needing to... I'm seeing someone pouring water into containers, possibly temperance, like the alchemy of the card. And maybe that's how the alchemy is beginning. Like there's an alchemical process, right? Like how one becomes the other, and needing to stay in the question and in the fluidity of the question, needing to stay in that, because that's like a healing process. That might also be part of your power right now. Maybe part of your power, Virgo. Fluidity and outer core. I'm hearing mermaid. And that's where I feel like this is like the groundedness and gravity. It's like maybe you've been in this energy. Like I'm getting that you've been in this energy, and there's so many guides and helpers that have been trying to pull you out of it. So it's like you have to allow the questions to do that. You have to allow the questions to do that. Spirit, what additional messages do you have for Virgo, please? Messages for Virgo. Messages for Virgo. Between worlds. Yeah, I really get that energy for you. Like there's like an in between, 333 on the time. There's like an in between. And it's like, I think about where you are is the energy, like the water between the container, right? I'll put that there so you can see it. But it's like when one is poured into the other, the time, it's like milliseconds of the water suspended in the air before it gets to either container and leaves the container, right? So it's like that place that you're in, it feels like it has no constructive bounds, but that's the point. The point is to be in the unboundedness of it, because there's something about that is sharpening your senses, yes, but it's also this shift in... there's something about the way the energy is moving through you that's causing a shift. And then I'm going to pull from the... Oh my gosh, my cat. I'm going to pull from the postcards from Spirit deck. Postcards from Spirit. Whoa. All right then. That seems pretty obvious. Hope floats. Again, the water, right? Hope floats. Dearest you, let us ask you, are you looking for happiness outside of your everyday moment to moment experience, thinking you will find happiness out there someday? So many go chasing a magic it out there, but it never could be found there. So we want to share a secret that shouldn't be a secret. You are pure joy. What made you is pure joy, and every time you wake up, and even when you sleep, you have joy waiting to be expressed inside you. Joy and happiness and fullness come from doing joy, being joy, knowing it, cultivating it, and lighting it in your heart so you can share it. You must know this. When the time comes, you will be fully free, and your joyful being and actions will turn you into a beacon of starlight. Look within and be joyful, even for tears and loss, for they mean you have lived, really lived. Jump into it all and love every minute. We all love you like crazy over here. Yeah. Excuse me, miss. I almost feel like, what does water think of itself when it's in between containers? Building on these questions that you're asking, Virgo. When water is in between containers, what does it think of itself? If it was, if we were to anthropomorphize it for a minute, what does it think about even if it's not in that human state? Does it know that it's in between? Does it know that? Or does it just exist in the state that it's in, independent of what container it's in? Environment and container can just be a synonym or whatever for environment. So if that's the case, what might that offer us a lesson for when that energy, right? I saw the energy as like, where does the energy of the light reflected go? There's something about this in-between place that you're in, Virgo. And it's like the questions are how you're going to see the beauty of where you are. Because the environment, the container, something about this container, it wouldn't shock me overly if we had an abundance of cups coming out. And this does relate to your heart energy, right? Like there might be a way that you're kind of like in an in-between. In an in-between. Balance, 14, so temperance. What? That's the... oh my gosh. So balance, if you do believe in twin flame journeys, this could relate to that, where you're kind of coming into an internal union with yourself or with your person or persons. Subatomic level, I'm hearing. Just mostly because of the symbol here, but it also strikes me as a lotus as well. Sagittarian energy. I feel like that's where you are right now. And then clarity of belief, Ace of Cups. Yeah. Ace of Cups. Flow, more water. So that's a 10. That is the wheel. Ooh, my cheeks are going red. Ooh, I feel them getting hot. Why am I blushing? What? No, I'm kidding. It happens. It tells me that there's like something about what's going on in your energy that's shifting, or this could be you were thinking about, if you are on a twin flame or soulmate journey, you could be thinking about them. I almost think about it though as like a heat rising too. I'm experiencing this interestingly. So this flow, it's like an expansion, but the way to know yourself is not through being able to understand the contents of the container. Like, how do I word this, Spirit? It's like I'm seeing a sieve. The water stays the same, but it's like there's a way that you've been asking questions that makes it so that it's like you're trying to cup the water in your hand. You're trying to grasp it. And you can't, because the point isn't to grasp it. The point is to understand that you are it. The point is to understand that you are the thing that you're asking about. So if you've been asking about love, you are love. How would that change the container? So the person container, it's a bit rudimentary, but that's fine. Like, how does if the container changes, does that change who you are? And it's almost like that's the no separation, right? Like, it's understanding that there's no separation. Spirit, what message do you have for my wonderful Virgo? And shine. Wow, the sun. Whew, how the light gets in. Well, the light gets in because the light gets in. That's it. No, I'm kidding. I think that it's like the light gets in because of you and from within you. I think it gets in because you shine. It's not how it gets in. It's how you shine outwards and understand yourself to be a source of light, independent of the container. And I feel like these very interesting and seemingly paradoxical questions that you might ask yourself. You could also have water placements in your chart. And I think that's really where the light is coming in right now. And the light can also just be awareness, right? The Ace of Cups here is what you're embracing. And it's like you're embracing offering, you're embracing new, you're embracing this kind of curiosity. Aces to me are more like offerings from the universe, as opposed to the pages, which are more people things that are being offered. But I feel like this energy is, I don't know, it's just, I feel like it's beautiful. It's just beautiful. Like, I feel like I want to tear up for you, Virgo. Like, there's an ease. That's so interesting. Ooh, okay. My guides are saying right now that you're more protected than you know, Virgo. I'm seeing ancestors wrapping their arms around you, like around your shoulders, like one arm and then one arm. Nine of Pentacles and tradition. I almost get like this way of knowing yourself. This is really interesting with the ancestor energy, Virgo. It's like you're connecting to relatives. You're connecting to people in your family history, in your lineage, and that's how you know yourself. Like, there's a confidence that you gain from connecting to that. So do that. Don't shy away from that. Absolutely do that. Wow. Nine of Cups. It's almost like this way that you're going within, like, know thyself, and then sharing that with others. Nine of Cups. And there's a way that you're radiating. Like, you go within and you radiate outwards. That's where the shine, right? The shining. Oh, that's the creepy movie. But like the shining outwards from within you. Shining outwards from within you. And it's so fascinating that you have this duality again. I don't know if you're on a twin flame journey or if you're on a soulmate journey or whatnot, but I feel like it's very interesting that you have the duality here in the Temperance card. And that like depicts like the containers, like maybe this is your person, right? Like the containers being your person, the water being the consciousness and energy that flows between you. And then it's like, what I'm thinking of is like the water in between containers. As you give and receive love, what of the energy of the love between each, the milliseconds between words shared, energy shared, dreams, like kisses, like that kind of like physical contact, yes, but that energy in between, there's something about that liminality not in a sense of incompletion, but from this place of that's where you will understand that there's no separation. And then the no separation just meaning non-duality, yes. But I almost get like this is like, I feel like this is very interestingly counterpart energy. Nine of Cups and Nine of Pentacles. It's not what it traditionally represents, but it's almost showing up intuitively here in this way of like, maybe this is energy that you've both embodied, like Nine of Cups, but then also Nine of Pentacles. Like you've been good on your own and emotionally fulfilled, and you've vacillated between the two separately. And maybe you don't know, maybe you do know this. But there's like a coming together and a completion. And it could be a completion of a cycle where you weren't together. It could be a completion of a cycle where you weren't together. Let's see what came out here. Four of Cups, boredom. Yeah, that's like separation or the perspective of separation. This doesn't need to be any kind of relationship reading though. This can be, because I firmly believe that we are all like, my only struggle with twin flame journeys is that there's so much toxicity that gets baked into it, right? Like I am incomplete without this person. You're whole and complete on your own. And that's what I feel of twin flame journeys. If like it's like you are complete. You are whole. You don't need somebody else to complete you, right? You show up in your total whole and complete self. Yeah. And then 20, this is judgment. So this is the great bear. Judgment. And it's almost like facing fears, like a decision, like you're facing fears. You're facing decisions of fears. I'm hearing past life. Something that I find quite interesting about structures like this. So I was watching when I had COVID in January, and I was quite under with it. And so I was watching this show, Mystic Britain, because that's just, I watch documentaries and silly things like that when I'm not feeling well, or like Christmas movies or something that'll like lift my spirits. So I was watching this show and they were talking about how these structures will often have the light come into them, and they were kind of considered sacred sites, obviously, but they were built specifically so that the light at specific times of year would filter in through that doorway and light up the tunnels as though it was like otherworldly, and it would bounce off of the stone and then bounce off, and it would like fill up the chambers of this place. Just for a few minutes, but that would be enough. And it's almost like the reason why. And then, so just a song that started playing while I looked at this, that made me think past life. There's a song by Lord Huron, great band. Oh my God, I love that band so much. The song is I Will Be Back One Day. And when I was kind of like slipping in and out of sleep and like deep sleep, when I was, the reason why is when I was watching that show, that song popped into mind as I started to fall asleep, and like that's what came up as I started to look at this. So I looked into the doorway and that song came up. So I will be back one day. So maybe there's some past life stuff happening here for somebody or a couple folks, who knows. Decision. I'm going to pull one more on this. Spirit, what message do you have? Can you clarify this great bear, this decision? The hooded man, the hermit. Yeah. I feel like this is about, or this journey for you, Virgo, thus far has been about connecting to your higher self. And it's like making decisions from that place. There's like this wisdom that you have within you. But this is also your card. This is your card. So it's almost like you're showing up in your strength. So what is your strength and your truth? The cards are very resistant to give specific answers on this. And I think because it like the cards also acquiesce to the reader in a way. So I feel like there's an aspect of this because it's like the questions, like we're meant to be in the questions, and it acquiesces to the reader, which is funny. But then sometimes the cards troll the reader, as I've experienced and watched happen with others, which is always hilarious. But it's like, it's always funny when spirit's like, and like throw something out to be like, yep. The cards have a sense of humor for sure. But it's like you're showing up in your power in the questions. It's like you won't find answers anywhere other than within. You won't be able to make decisions anywhere other than from within this place in you, that even if it's for a few minutes, you find this sense of wonder and connection to something so much bigger than you. Clarifying this Ace of Cups, we have the Four of Pentacles and the Empress. So it's almost like you're embracing this spirit of giving and understanding that while holding back might have protected you at one point, it doesn't really do that anymore. It doesn't do that because the energy is different, right? The energy is different. And the Empress shows up as the green wisdom or the green woman, which is, again, like a container, right? The container for wisdom, the container for all of this. And it's almost like I get a little bit of psychic vibes off of this, where it's like you can see into the whatever it is that whatever you're cooking. No, I will not quote The Rock. I was tempted, but and then we have the Stag and Strength. And the Lovers. This is intense, Virgo. What? There are so many major arcana showing up in this particular row in this Ace of Cups. My goodness. You have the Empress, you have the Strength card, and you have the Lovers. I'm hearing, make no mistake, your greatest gift and strength right now is your ability to give and receive love. Make no mistake, your greatest strength and ability right now is to give and receive love. And I almost feel like that's this Nine of Pentacles and Nine of Cups. Your ability to give and receive love. So we have the Six of Swords. Nine of Swords. This is the release. It's almost like forgetting, like you've been on this search. Like this Six of Swords is like, I'm getting this search energy, right? Like, and I'm seeing this light on a boat looking for shore. A light on a boat looking for shore. And it's like you're almost worried. There's this worry that's taking over because you can't really see what you need to. I'm hearing the song I Can See Clearly Now by Anne Marie. I think it's Anne Marie. But that's also the name of a book, I think, by Wayne Dyer. So maybe check that out. I'm not sure what wisdom it holds for you, but maybe. But it's like there was this lack of clarity. But again, remember, it's remembering that you are made of this stuff that you're trying to understand. So when you pull it and hold it outside of yourself and try to understand it in that light, it's going to feel impossible. It's going to feel like an impossible equation because you're trying to understand something from the confines of a container that can't be understood in that way. This is like super philosophical. Oh my gosh. And then we also have the Seven of Wands, clearance. Seven of Wands. I'm seeing somebody bushwhacking. So if you go backcountry camping, the Green Man, holy shit. So several things are happening inside my energy right now. Counterpart energy, again, Empress and Emperor showing up here big time. So when I was thinking about the bushwhacking, I thought about clearance, right? Like clearing a path. So if you portage somewhere, let's say, like that YouTube channel Lost Lakes, I love it so much. I love watching. Again, that journey through Temagami was like brilliant. But some of the things that he encounters, he has to like cut through and it's bushwhacking, right? So you have to forge a path through if one isn't there already. And a lot of backcountry camping and portaging and trails and things like that are old logging roads, but it gets grown over, right? So this path that was once well treaded or well trodden is no longer. So it's almost like you're clearing your own path. That's what I get from this too. Like you thought the journey might be easier, but it's almost like you're making work that you don't need to. You're making work that you don't need to. And it's almost like you're communicating with your counterpart. This could be telepathy. Um, this could be telepathy because I just get this energy of like the journey that the emperor has been on is one of understanding the nature of the consciousness that is fundamental to their core, that they are not separate from the water, but they've been thinking about it. So this could be relationships and love, right? Or if this is work, this is like thinking of yourself as inspired without understanding that the same energy that fuels inspiration is what you are also. So it's understanding that, and that you're not separate from the thing that you're observing, that you're one with it. But this, in other terms, if this is about a relationship, I almost feel like there's this telepathy, like you're communicating the journey, perhaps in preparation for or as part of this coming together. I'm seeing the blue flame now. Like I'm seeing the blue flame at the bottom of these cauldrons instead of the orange. This energy is really intense. The King of Swords, or sorry, Knight of Swords, could be hawks that you'll see. This is more falcon, I think, but I'm hearing the wind. I'm hearing the wind through pine trees on a fall day in an October. There's like that brisk breeze. I love fall. Like fall and Christmas are my favorite seasons. So like those together are just like, it's my favorite time of year. But it's like there's something about that crisp chill in the air. And like this feeling of anticipation. Like this anticipation. But it's taking in, there's something about the bigger picture that you're able to see that you're kind of quiet about. Like you don't need to shout about it. That's how hawks and birds of prey, like apex predators. I don't like thinking about like that kind of energy in this, but it's like if you're like gathering something, like if you're getting information, it's like they move very quietly. They move very quietly. They're huge birds too. Spirit, what additional messages do you have? I think it's about also just taking the bigger picture. The bigger picture, and as much as you can, I'm seeing the cliff face. So there's a place I go hiking a lot around here that I absolutely love. And it has a little lookout, and I'll sit up there on this rock because it forms a chair inadvertently. And I'll just sit there I've sat there for an hour and a half at a time, right? Like I'll put a little thing on beneath me so that the stone doesn't hurt my bum and my back too. I should say tailbone because it's anyways. But it's like I'll sit there and I'll just observe everything around me, and I will see, like it's like you can see the energy, and this is again this synesthesia, but it's like you can see the energy and hear it, and you can understand that your cells are at the same, they're making the same song. So when you sit and observe it and you get quiet enough, it like you hear that you're at one with things that you're seeing around you. I haven't been to that spot in like 2 weeks. I should go back maybe today. And then we have the pole star, so the star. I really do feel like this is the story for at least a person of the journey to their person. So we have the Page of Cups, the Eight of Wands, and then we have the Eight of Cups. Yeah. Can you clarify this Eight of Cups for me, Spirit? And the significant otter for sure. Page of Wands. You could be either a fire sign dealing with a water sign or vice versa. Or those are the dominant placements in your chart that speak to the connection you have. But if this is energies, it could be that it's so funny to me that these are like variations of a thing. Like they're variations of a thing. They're both by water. It's like they're so similar, but there's such subtle differences. They even have like a taxonomic difference. The taxonomy would classify them differently, but they're made of the same thing, fundamentally speaking, but also just in this energy here. I feel like there's going to be a lot of shifts that start happening very quickly. Connecting to your intuition is going to be really important. The abundance of water here, and water as an overarching thing, Virgo, is going to be really important for you. I think it's part of recognizing the relationship, but if this is less of a relationship and more about you meeting with parts of you, this is, I think, um, I feel like this is different aspects of yourself coming together, having healed really difficult journeys. Like, I feel like there's different paths that you've taken to arrive where you are. And this wheel is like, it's an expansion. It's like, and it's flow, right? Like it's a flow state, but it's ultimately an expansion of not just where you are, but what you're capable of and what you have in your heart space. So it's this like, I'm seeing a cup that's like overflowing, but in a good way. Like there's a fountain filling it and it is spilling into and watering the things around it. So this could be about where it's like the container changes, but again, taking the bigger picture, this bird energy, it's like the bigger picture is helping you to understand that where you are overflowing with joy, you're watering gardens around you that you don't fully understand. And that's probably this sense of oneness that is so crucial right now. Again, though, I'm very inclined to believe that this is a relationship reading. I don't often read for that in particular, but if that's where Spirit wants to take this, I am not going to disagree because Spirit knows more than I do. So, yeah. It's cleansing, storms. Wow, I'm hearing baptism from within. Maybe you've been going through a lot and processing a lot of emotions. This could be shadow work that you've been doing. Yeah. Could be shadow work that you're doing. But I feel like this is possibly the journey that you've taken on your own, right? Like you've taken the journey on your own. If this is not a relationship reading, this is really about clearing out the old and making way for the new and understanding that the sun radiates from within you. It's not something that meets you on the path, right? Speaking your word and voice. Wow. This is like really like owning your power. It's really owning your power. I just felt this like sinking feeling. What was that? What the heck was that? I'm hearing letdown. You were let down? There was a letdown? Okay, I'm just going to clarify that, Virgo. This is kind of outside of the spread, but whatever, that's fine. King of Cups and the journey. 13 is death. Yeah, there's something about healing the way, like healing offerings. Do you see that sword embedded in the stone? Maybe there's like a truth that you, and this speaks to the voice, right? Like there's a truth that you cast into stone, maybe because you wanted to. It's like how people take babies' handprints, even pets, like they take paw prints and they cast it into stone so that they can remember it and have it as a monument to something, right? So it's almost like maybe there was a truth that was a trail marker, but this is a call to transform it. It's a call to transform it and take it from something that you turned to stone to something that you can integrate back into yourself again. There's some truth here, Virgo. There's some truth. The mirror, this is the Hanged Man. I'm hearing commit this to memory. And I'm seeing this strikes me as like a funeral rite almost. Like a funeral rite. Maybe a rite of passage, perhaps. But there's something about this where it's like you're allowing something to it's like it's leaving your energy. I don't know if it's like I don't see it as a cord cutting, but this strikes me as shadow work for sure. It strikes me as shadow work, absolutely. Very interesting energy. Because I feel like it's like you like there's this depth and breadth of energy, Virgo, and then this in particular is like this sort of side note, this adjacent healing that's happening, and it's almost like this letdown. Like maybe you feel like you will let down other people, or you feel let down. Maybe you feel let down by your journey, but I feel like more like this is like when I was looking at this, I just felt like there was an aspect of lovability that like it wasn't in question, but it was just like feeling like you needed to be somewhere else in order to like something had to be in more alignment. Um okay, so now I'm hearing this song. It's by Us the Duo, and it is I Will Wait for You. And that's like super twin flamey, just based on the way that it shows up in a lot of spiritual community. The line that I'm thinking of, though, that song aside, is everything was fine the way it was, normal and ordinary. Then there was you, so randomly too, and it's gone. Ugh. Staring at me? No. Staring at me. Maybe. And I just. That's the card that came up. Maybe it's like it just wasn't like there's something that wasn't convenient. So if this isn't about twin flame, and if this is more about like soulmate or soul partnerships, soul sacred partnerships, it could just be that there's something about it where you're like, I didn't like this. It's like inconvenient, Virgo. Like you're like, no, like I don't like this is. Mm-mm. But there's something about it that's like a depth of knowing that's pulling. And I think the important thing, the reason why questions are coming up is to sit with the questions as opposed to the certainty. Knowing that this is supposed to be on your path, that's not what I was meaning to say. I was meaning to say, Spirit's like, it doesn't matter. Um, I just, for the sake of sincerity, I was going to say that it's not about knowing that you're on the right path. It's about knowing that what's happening on the path is meant to, as it's like it's supposed to. But instead, I said the other thing, and because I'm channeling, it's gone already. Um, wow, feels a little inconvenient. That's what I'm getting. Is like something feels inconvenient. Tower. Yeah. And we have the magician. Okay, Virgo. Um, I feel like you're if you feel discomfort, don't let that deter you from the path because I feel like there's something very significant on your path right now. Like it's not like headed right for you. It's on the path already. You've been doing it already. Holy crap. I'm going to pull from the notes from the universe. This just popped out from the bottom when I went to pick up the deck. So give yourself much more credit. Start where you are. Yeah. Start where you are. I'm hearing the song, the line from the song Hear You Me by Jimmy Eat World. May angels lead you in. May angels lead you in. Dang. Virgo, that is your reading. 3939 was just on the time. If this resonated, give it a like and subscribe. I know I feel like I want to be a Virgo because whatever's on your path, like Virgo's not very strong in my chart, but damn, this energy is nice. This is very nice. I'm very excited for the Virgos that this resonates for. So please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you are joining me for my subscriber base, thank you. Thank you so much for your patience as well while I got more of these specific sign readings out. If you want to connect in other ways, you can do so on the channel. But if this is where we part, Virgo, I hope that wherever this finds you on the time space continuum, morning, afternoon, or night, it finds you very well. Take care.